Hello, Shalom friends. Today we're going to be talking about a very important subject in Jewish life. I have one of my rabbis, he told me that the minimal standard in Orthodox Judaism anyways, for a rabbi to get smicha um, is sometimes two things, or actually three things. Number one, understanding the laws of Shabbat. Number two, understanding the laws of kashrut. And number three, the third most important thing that a rabbi should know is understanding the laws of family purity, which we're going to be discussing today, especially in terms of sexual relations between husband and wife. So this is a very important subject, and it can also be a controversial one, and it's certainly a very delicate one. So in the chapter that we're reading from To Be a Jew, one of the core messages is that Jewish family is of core importance. The family is central to Jewish society and religious life, and a strong, stable Jewish home upholds all aspects of Jewish life, while a weak home leads to broader societal issues. Respect for the individuality and feelings of family members is important, and this goes always, not just between husband and wife, but also with children and even extended members of the family. Respect is very important. And creation of peace and harmony, also known as shalom bayit, literally peace of the home. This is also very important within the household in Judaism. And the recognition of the different roles within the family is important, and the maintenance of spiritual purity in intimate relationships. Marriage is important for both companionship and procreation in Judaism. And Jewish tradition emphasizes the sanctity of marriage beyond just procreation. And in Judaism, we see the relationship between a man and a woman who are married as inherently holy. So sexual relations within marriage are positive. They're not something dirty or something to be ashamed of. They are positive, they are necessary, and they're part of fulfilling one's marital duties. It's part of the very first commandment given to mankind, which is to be fruitful and multiply. Sexual relations are prohibited during the wife's menstrual period, and the couple must abstain for at least 7 days each month. I know that most of Orthodox Judaism teaches that that the count of 7 starts the first clean day after a woman's menstrual period. But according to my modern Orthodox rabbi and others, mostly scholars, anything past 7 for a Niddah is custom. And this becomes very important when a couple is trying to conceive and they're finding it very, very hard to conceive. We have some friends who were doing it the standard Orthodox way of, after the woman's menstrual period, they would count 7 clean days. And what they found, and they couldn't conceive for a very, very long time. And this is part of the mitzvah. I mean, it's such an important mitzvah to have a child in Judaism that the sages even say that if you can't conceive a child, that it is grounds for divorce. So for many years, they could not conceive, and they didn't want to get divorced. But they later found out that that the woman's fertility window was that time, that the 7 days, within the 7 days after her menstrual period. And so they decided to not follow that custom and only go strictly by the Torah of 7 days from the first day of her Niddah. Of course, according to Torah, if a woman bleeds outside her normal menstrual cycle, she is not Niddah, but she is Zava, and then she does have to wait 7 clean days before she can immerse in a mikvah. So uh, that really, we want to be very open and honest with the way we do things and see things. So certainly in the Orthodox world, most abstain at least 12 days as custom, meaning usually 5 days of bleeding and then 7 days of non-bleeding. But this is only custom, according to Talmud. It was the 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 women of Israel that took this practice upon themselves, not necessarily the sages or the Beit Din Hagadol or the Sanhedrin who imposed it upon them, which makes it a custom. So after the menstrual period, a ritual immersion in a mikvah is required to restore ritual purity before sexual relations can resume. Okay, and you know, the ideal for this is an indoor kosher mikvah. It provides for the most modesty. Um, Although there's usually an attendant there. If that's not available, um, I have gotten clearance from Orthodox rabbis to use a kosher public, um, ocean or, river or lake. And if you're doing it that way, of course, you cannot be naked. In a regular Orthodox mikvah, you immerse naked in front of the attendant. So there's a high level of trust there among women in Judaism. But if that's not available to you for any reason, then you can use a kosher public body of water and just wear loose clothing so that the water can freely flow around you. And if that is also not available, you can also use a swimming pool. And not really kosher, but if nothing else is available, a bathtub would be better than a shower. So for example, when there was COVID and all the kosher mikvahs were closed, and it was too cold to go to a natural body of water. I did have my Breslov rabbi say that, well, a bath is better than a shower. Immersing in a bathtub is better than a shower. Not necessarily kosher mikvah, but it's better than nothing. Okay, now children are commanded to honor and revere their parents, with respect for parents equated to respect for God. In Judaism, the commandment to honor your parents is right in the middle of the Ten Commandments, and it said that it can refer to either your earthly parents or your heavenly parents. But also, parents should set a godly example for their children, as disrespect often stems from observing parental irreverence towards God. And I'd also like to add observing parental irreverence towards their parents, towards grandparents. And also, it can also stem from observing irreverence in other settings, such as in the school or on the media. So we have to be very careful that we, as parents, are not allowing our children to learn reverence. And if they are, it is our job to model reverence and also discipline them and correct them. Just as it's our responsibility before they reach bar bat mitzvah that they observe all the commandments of God as much as possible. And Jewish education emphasizes moral and ethical values, active observance of mitzvot, and knowledge of Torah and Jewish sources. This is the foundation. This is more important than learning, higher mathematics or essay writing or etc. This is the foundation. These are the basics. Parents must also teach practical skills for earning a livelihood and swimming, self-defense for safety. Um, I think this is very practical, rabbinic, and also just common sense. It's our parents, it's our duty, and I don't, and also believe that the school system doesn't really do these everything here, everything that I just mentioned that that Jewish education should encompass. The public schools do not provide this. They don't provide children skills really for earning a livelihood, except for just basic, reading, writing, and arithmetic. So this is our job as parents. And also just, self-defense and swimming, also very practical life-saving things. And also ethics and morals, another very important thing that public schools do not provide and Jewish parents need to. Which is, of course, why we homeschool and why there's also religious schools. Also, modesty in speech, dress, and behavior is encouraged for all family members, not just the females. And immodesty, including vulgarity and sexual promiscuity, is for sure condemned in Judaism. This includes acts as well as speech. Next, divorce is permissible in Jewish law, but should be a last resort. Without a religious divorce or a get, a couple's marriage remains valid in the eyes of Jewish law, even if a civil divorce is obtained. And also, the opposite is also true. If you have a religious divorce in Judaism, even if you have a civil divorce, according to religious law, you can at least have another religious marriage. You can get married again, even if you don't have the civil divorce, as long as you have the religious divorce in Judaism. Although, of course, it's best to get both, just to, dot your I's and cross your T's. Also, abortion is allowed when the mother's life is at risk, but not for reasons of convenience or personal choice. There is, however, debate among rabbis about cases involving severe deformities or incest. Also, birth control is permitted as long as the mitzvah of procreation is fulfilled. Most Orthodox accept the pill, but science has revealed serious health issues from this, and safer methods are preferred and should be left to the discretion of the couple. Now, this is not something that Rabbi Adonan Halevi teaches in the To Be a Jew book. This is just common sense and logic, and also would be the advice of many doctors today. And some of the health issues that can arise from birth control pills are very serious, such as blood clots, stroke, heart attack, liver disorders, gallbladder disease, hypertension, vision changes, severe migraines, and increased risk of cancers. Also, this idea that the pill is okay, this is not from the Sanhedrin. This is just basically modern custom. And I'd like to now also address the issue of birth control, and also the spilling of seed. Now, while it's true that in the Shulchan Aruch it does say that that spilling the seed, or if a man copulates or spills semen outside of a woman's vagina, that this is a grave sin, this is also custom. This is mentioned in the Babylonian Talmud, but it is not mentioned in the Yerushalmi Talmud. And even in the Babylonian Talmud, there are different opinions. For example, in the Babylonian Talmud, it talks about that if a woman is still nursing, so if she's still nursing, so if she's given, actually, it gives a very specific time frame. It says that up to 24 months after she's given birth, that a man, and I'm not going to read it exactly the exact words, but it basically says that the husband can have sex with her, but should not inseminate her. And it uses figurative language to say this. I forgot what it was exactly, but so that the man does not cut off the baby's milk supply early. Okay, so there is that opinion in the Talmud, and then of course there's a debate about it, and um, the other opinion is of course the what we understand today is it asks, but isn't this the sin of and Onan? And the final conclusion, however, is that their actual sin was that both of them, both and Onan, did not want to impregnate Tamar. They refused to fulfill that first commandment given to Adam to be fruitful and multiply. They say that she was extremely beautiful, and so they didn't want to ruin. Well, for he didn't want to ruin her body by getting her pregnant, and for Onan, he was just being selfish, and he would have sex with her, but he didn't want to carry on his brother's line. And these were the true sins of the two. And again, the Yerushalmi Talmud, the Jerusalem Talmud, does not does not have this opinion at all that it is that it is a sin to ejaculate outside of a woman's womb or vagina. Okay. I think I think these are very important because you know sometimes in Judaism, and I want to be completely transparent and honest, we use condoms. We do not use birth control, and we don't we don't we're not of the opinion that we should have as many children as we possibly can, because for women, and any doctor will tell you this, every time a woman gets pregnant, it it takes a toll on her health. Even if it's just minor, and in your older age, such as myself and many other more elderly women, the risk of getting pregnant again could cause serious health risks. But also the side effects of birth control are also um, unhealthy. So and it's we can't ask couples to just not have sex. That's also not kosher, because the purpose of sex, according to Judaism, is not just for procreation, but also for for pleasure. And marriage is also for companionship. So I understand that these views are minority and can be very controversial, but we wanted to be completely open and honest about the way that we believe and practice, not hiding anything, being completely transparent. And these are one of the areas where we don't side with normative Orthodox Judaism. We side with more minority opinion within the Orthodox world, and also more Masorti or traditional or conservative opinion. Shalom.
We open it up for discussion, or Ruben, are you there?
So go ahead, Rabbi Safa. I think he's probably off on a venture. What are your thoughts on this?
So let me first say that we'll get to your question in a moment. Israel, is this Elba
Johanna?
Johanna? Could we get to your question a little bit? So there's different beliefs within Judaism. I'm kind of a neo-Hasidic in my thought pattern. So there's there's a long line of beliefs that come down from holy teachers, Arizal, the Kabbalah, the Bel Shem Tov, Rabbi Nachman. Actually, we're kind of discussing it this week, and going through the portion where Rabbi Nachman talks about the Brit, specifically about this, and the idea was it's one of men's one of our number one struggles, right? And so our sages, especially the Kabbalistic sages, use the harshest terms when it comes to masturbation and spilling seed, and it goes into the harshest penalties, and there's different remedies and different teshuvah. There's actually some current people that are fringe in the Hasidic movement that use very, very extreme, damaging, very dangerous rhetoric when it comes to it. So it is. I'll just say that it is something to be taken seriously, especially if it becomes a pattern, just like any other pattern that is able to take root, drunkenness or drug addiction or gambling. If it becomes something where you can't control, and it becomes a pattern in your life and it warps your brain, you should stop it. It's causing an issue. One thing we notice when it comes to family purity is that our mothers and fathers of the faith, we don't get the TMZ version, right? We don't get the look inside their home. We don't see what Sarah and Abraham are wearing to bed. We don't get to because really at the end of the day, the Jewish idea is it's really none of our business, right? Everything is completely. There's some ideas that you'll see some Orthodox people. It's almost like you don't know they're married, right? Because it's a completely separated life, right? The wife has our family, we choose to have from the get-go. Once we got married, we decided to have a mutual Facebook so that, there would nobody messaging somebody, and that way we could keep Shomer Negia, which is a guarding of the touch, which is another custom within Judaism to not engage deeply with the opposite sex. So there is a demarcation between what we put out there. So men a lot of times will protect our wives, and let me say that modesty goes both ways. The para-Jewish religion that sprung up to become Christianity, and especially the Christianity that sprung forth into Americanism, the Puritans and all this stuff, is a completely backward view of traditional Hebrew Christianity. I'm sorry, Hebrew belief. It's hard for me sometimes. I fall back into that. So it's two different systems, right? Hashem says this is a gift. This is beautiful. But here's the rules to enjoy it. Whereas these well-meaning people who came over from were persecuted, they had some very, very extreme beliefs about what a woman's place was and what a man's place was. And a lot of that was derived from the writings of Shaul. And Shaul was only writing to one congregation, and we don't even know exactly what he meant. So men and women in the Jewish world from the earliest times taught women how to read. It was one of the only civilizations that existed that women were educated along with men. And it's because women were expected to uphold the faith as well, And so in the term of Judaism, men and women are both created in the image of Hashem, right? We can look and see that there's some aspects of Hashem that are feminine in nature, right? And he said he created us together, male and female. He created us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there should never be a situation where there's a demeaning situation. Women are to be in the back and sit down and to be quiet and not say anything. That is a totally foreign idea within Judaism. But now men have their role, traditional role, and women have their traditional role. But what is developed into the para-Jewish religion of Christianity is not something that was normative within Judaism. These were things that were adopted as knee-jerk reactions to religions that were also happening that were very similar to Christianity at the time. Bacanism, which we get the Bacchanalia and all this stuff like that, which showed up in the Olympics. But suffice to say, there's a lot of information to be read through, the little snippets and everything from this week that is so insightful. And sometimes we had to, those of us that came from Christianity have to take off our Christian hat, put on our Jewish hat, and basically reform ourselves into what a proper understanding of what Hashem had intended for the family.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I think Israel had one, and then I will go if you don't mind, Rabbi.
All right, sounds good.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Actually, I have a question regarding the mitzvah. In the time of the menstrual cycle of the woman, not all women's cycle every 28 days.
Mm-hmm.
And many of us cycle maybe 3 days or 4 days or 7 days. So we counting like before. Let's see, if I have a period for 7 days, I count 7 days later to be, but in our congregation do not have the, a place to go through, to be pure.
Mm-hmm.
So the options that Robinson might mention are, excellent actually, because it gives you the idea how to, purify yourself and do many of those options in case you don't have this and you don't have, bathtub. And in our case, we do not have. We have showers in our home.
Mm-hmm.
So the choice of going to a pool, which we have a pool, not in ground, above ground.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a great, excellent idea for that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing about purity as well, besides the menstrual cycle, is we've been, besides when we got sick and we have, blood or any other kind of blood, like for example, we're going to a dentist and we extract our tooth for any particular reason, that is, we become impure as well. And have other, or when we throw up, or those kind of things. So that's excellent options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't say any other blood is considered impure. I think it's only from the menstrual cycle or related to that somehow. Like what you were saying, and what my wife said is that there's a minimum. I'll just say like the minimum, or like the, what do you call it? The most lenient is counting 7 days from the start of your menstrual cycle, because usually it will end before that seventh day, right? At least from what I know anyway. And so in that case, so if it started on Sunday, you'd count 7 days, and then you would do the mikvah. I mean, that's the most lenient, right? The most lenient opinion, because you kind of gave that example of the woman whose best chance of getting pregnant was like was like right after the 7 days. If she waited another 7 days at the end, it would be past her time to get pregnant. And so these are just issues, right, that happen. So I guess the most lenient is 7 days, and I guess the most standard is 12, like she was saying. It's up to you. It's up to you how you want to calculate that, but we just want to make sure that everyone knows, what the minimum was, and even like you said, option of pool and these kind of things, because it's not very common. These aren't common views. I know. You go to any other Orthodox rabbis, and most of them will say, no, that's unkosher, or that kind of thing. But we want to be able to give you the most lenient that we do have. We have rabbis that back us up, but it's not a common thing. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that. And then the other instance of a woman that has I guess a bleeding at a different time, like not her normal time, that's when you, I guess, start counting 7 days after that bleeding has stopped. So I have the story of the woman that's bleeding, and she touches Yeshua. I think she had it wasn't her regular cycle. It was something else, and that's why she was getting healing from Yeshua for that. So that's where that's kind of an interesting story in there, because it shows how much Yeshua cares about everybody, including his sisters, or the women of his, the women that he loves, the women that are in his life. Yeah. Any other question? Or Atzliyahu, you want to comment? You want to talk?
Yeah, if I could. When it comes to the community that you join, there'll be different viewpoints on different subjects. I recommend that your viewpoint be based upon Hirshkafa and the Takanot. What was the positions and viewpoints of the sages of blessed memory before the destruction of the temple in 70 AD, and when you said, like, one of the things that was said to us was, and this was Takano, was build a fence around the Torah, right? Well, if the fence is so broad that you can't do anything, or that you are unable to carry on the mitzvah of being fruitful and multiply, then the fence is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Simply that. Because this is what Hashem says, this is what man says. Hashem's words to top. Okay, no questions there. But I want to talk to you, and I won't get into all of that, especially not into the intermarital relationships, because my understanding, that's kind of between a man and a woman, and most of what I have read is sort of vague speculation. Okay, so I won't touch on that, but I will get on this. If you are coming from a non-Jewish world, a Christian world, a Muslim world, a Pentecostal, Mormon world, you may have been exposed to things that Jewish men were never meant to be exposed to, okay, ever, at all, under any circumstances. In a Jewish community, no woman's going to be uncovered where you can see her, period, okay? That's not going to happen. And the focus is totally different, you know. And if you've grown up touching women, seeing things that you were never meant to see, because Chas v'Shalom, the world that you were in just had no barriers like that, it's going to take some time for you to adjust. But I'm going to go ahead and say this. We know that it's going to take time, but you also know what is right and wrong as a man, okay? So seek towards the righteous answer, and the righteous answer is that you control yourself, is that you are not letting the carnal nature take control of you, and you're not causing the spirit of your marriage to be tainted by other influences that should not be there. Again, you came from a Gentile world. It may take some time for you to transition, but be pointed towards that goal. Secondly, I would say this. This is, again, a lot of these viewpoints are going to be minhagim, you know, kind of viewpoints, because I mean, it wasn't explored to this level, and a lot of the stuff is recent, but I really like I forget the name of the Rob Duror, his perspective on sexuality. Your wife is not your squeaky toy, okay? And a lot of guys out there, especially coming from Christianity, they think she has to do whatever I want. That's not the case, okay? The actual sexual nature should come from the wife, and the man responds to it, right? You're not to pressure her, you're not to tell her, you're not to coerce her into doing this, that, or the other thing. You as a man should not be ruled by your lesser parts, okay? You should be ruled by your greater parts, the strength of heart, your neshama, not those other things. And your job, if we were to take the Brit Hadashah into perspective, your duty, your job is to give yourself for her. Even as the ecclesium, Yeshua gives himself for the ecclesium synagogues, okay? So you were to give yourself for her, right? You are a servant leader. A Jewish man should be a servant leader of his household, not an oppressive tyrant, and certainly not one who is simply just satisfying his personal appetites as part of this transaction, but instead respects that woman. She's a Jewish woman. She's a treasure. She's the daughter of Hashem. She's wonderful. Treasure her, and treasure every moment with her, and don't cheapen it with things that will automatically cheapen the relationship, like looking at things from the Goyish world, that from Mitzrayim, and by feeling like you need to control her and dictate that relationship. And it's really important. There's a lot of Jewish folklore on this, but it's really important because how you conceive that act in some Jewish circles, again, not halacha, this is going to come up. So you got to know how you conceive that act can affect how that child will become. And there, I leave it at that.
All right. Yeah, I guess piggyback on that idea. Even in your ketubah, when you get married, you have your ketubah, and that ketubah is really a contract to your wife that you're gonna do these things for her. It's not, there's no reverse ketubah. There's no, the man gets stuff and the wife has to do something. It's all for the wife. It's all for the wife. That ketubah is just like, you're gonna do this for me, you're gonna do this for me, and you're gonna do this for me, and then I'll be your wife. You know, it's not the other way around. That's just the way Judaism is set up. And then and also that, you know, there's this book, Garden of Peace. I can't remember. I can't remember. There's a men's book and then a women's book.
Shalom Arush.
Shalom Arush. Shalom Arush is the author. It's a beautiful book. And it's you know, very good advice for all husbands and for wives. I haven't read the wife one, but my wife says it's good too. And so yeah, it's very good, and it kind of goes into what Atsalyahu was saying about being the husband that you should be, being the husband that you should be. And that any kind of issues that are happening in your marriage is oftentimes your fault, and you have to you have to step it up, step up your game, essentially. It's very good, it's very good advice though. All right, and do you have anyone other any questions or comments?
Good evening, everyone.
Hey, Bukika.
I don't have my camera on too often,
Mhm.
so I guess I should show face tonight, huh?
Yeah, that'd be good.
I had to sit back and observe you guys for the most part. But what comes to mind for me is Matthew 6:33. And people think that it just pertains to the believer and and God, but you can also carry that into marriage, because that's your core. When it says seek ye first the kingdom of God, his righteousness, so you're seeking his righteousness. How? You're seeking it through prayer, through Torah, through your mitzvah. You're seeking it through that. And then when you are being the Zodic, when you're being his righteous, then the rewards, then everything else is added. Then you'll have that type of relationship with with your spouse. Then you'll have those friendships. Then you'll have promotion, favor wherever you step. Where it be your career, whether it's your business, all because that's your foundation, and that's what we have to remember. So you have to look at the kavanah, your intention, because when you go into a marriage with, okay, well, let me see what I can get out of it for me, then you already made the mistake right there, because you're looking it for yourself. But when you go in it with the intention of, I'm going to allow Hashem to bless me how he sees fit to do it, and not only just that, but I'm going in this to serve. That's
Definitely.
the core. You're going in there to serve, and then he will bless how he sees fit to bless. But it's going to be holistic. It's going to be in your house. It's going to be, like I said, in your career. It's going to be in your business. It's going to be with your relationships. It's everywhere. And so I think what's important is, rather than say, okay, well, one is better than the other, or one is bigger than the other. No, everybody has a role. And so if you understand what your role is, and you do that in him, according to his commandments, then it's a smooth transition. It's smoother. And it's not going to be as hard, because you're walking in, you're walking in his word. You're not walking in your flesh or what you feel like doing. Because when you are in any kind of covenant, whether it's a covenant with God, which is primary, and a covenant with your spouse, a covenant with your children, meaning that commitment, you are not supposed to go by feelings, because it's some days that you don't feel like doing certain things, but you recognize the commitment that you have, and then you follow suit, because you're choosing. That's why we have dominion. That's that's what separates us from the lions and the other wild beasts, is that we have the ability to choose.
Definitely.
So that's something to keep in mind. Understanding what wrapping up, understanding what the core is, then it starts internal, and it's like a bullseye. So you have that target. So your target and the center is your bullseye, and then you notice all the other circles go out. It's like it ripples outward. And so you have to kind of look at it that way. So if you don't have the target, then you don't know where you're shooting. You're just shooting a mist, and so the shot is not purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to keep in mind.
Good. I like good thoughts. Good thoughts
Mhm.
there.
Can I say something else?
Sure.
So we got basically just over 2 weeks before Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is coming up
Mm-hmm.
on October. October starts the night of October 2nd, which is a Wednesday. So Wednesday, October 2nd. So there's an idea that we should be in a state of trying to get our affairs in order. And sometimes me and my family will kind of put a blanket statement out. Please forgive me. And we don't say that willy-nilly. I would, and those of you that are not Jewish yet, it's okay for you to start the process of acting like a Jew, applying different mitzvot. And even though it's not one of the 7 Noahide laws, I think it is a good process to Yeshua mentions it, to try to make things right. So in that spirit, I speak very direct, right? And sometimes I might not be the most couth in the way I direct things. So if I've ever offended anybody, I ask you to come to me personally. We'll try to work it out. But if you've got any long-standing issues with anybody, try to make it right. And people can't fix an offense if you don't go to them and try to work it out. Sometimes in my own family, I've seen people hold a grudge for 20 years. And then when it comes down to it, they don't even know why they held the grudge in the first place. Actually, Hashem makes it pretty clear in the Besorah. I'm sorry, in the Tanakh. He makes it clear in the Torah that the repairing that must be done in a relationship has to be done between those relationships. A lot of times, say a famous person, a famous preacher or a rabbi will fall, and they'll ask everybody to forgive them. Well, A has to forgive B, right? You can't go to C and say, hey, forgive me for my offense against them. They can say, oh, well, I forgive you, but that doesn't help you do the process of teshuvah. It has to be done. So if you're holding a grudge against someone, a person can't be fully clean until it's redeemed. And if you're holding that over, that's just as bad as the person that is unrepentant. So as part of our process of doing teshuvah during this month, just something to think about. So just wanted to put that out there.
That's
The
good.
door is still open.
Definitely. Anyone? Yehoshua, you want to share anything? Quiet today. We can't hear you.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good, thank you.
Well, the now the Rabbi Zafa mentioned to the timeless lichot. Yeah, we forgive you, Zafa. I mean, it's like it's something that everybody really because sometimes we doing things like that, even joking, don't know the flow of the others, and maybe offend, and especially to those that you care more, you think maybe they don't feel it, or you don't feel it, but they're feeling it. So it's good to, and it's hard to, as you mentioned, you maybe go to the third person and not to the person that is supposed, because you know how it feels. You know that if you say it, it will be, it's shocking you. You're feeling it like it's like you can't. It happens to me when I was super young. and I had to stop this person in the middle of the street and tell them, you know, I'm apologize. And then you don't know till you do it, that you feel that release. It's like, wow, you know, I did it, you know, and then, but of course it's Hashem moving you to do it. And it's like, thank you, Rabbi, to mention that, because it's a special timing for that. Of course, every time it's a perfect time, but you know, also Rabbi Yeshua says the same thing. You know, you come with the offering, you have to leave it right there. Don't you know, you don't bring it to the Kohanim. It's supposed to, but go fix yourself first and bring the offering.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. And you're gonna teach this class soon, right?
I have to learn that to teach you. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, it is a good
How do I
topic.
join your Kohanim yeshiva?
It's interesting. You're already part of it. No, it's a yeshiva. This yeshiva is also a homeschooling. So it's like a homeschool yeshiva. You know, yeshiva is like a gathering, learning. So that's the name of the homeschooling since 2016. We have to make a name and a logo or be official. And we start in Jersey, but yeah. So my small kehillah is the family, but of course I'm open to everybody. So you guys are part of it as well.
Rabbi Vega, if I may ask a question. For, I know it's a little ahead, but for Yom Kippur, do you guys normally do, if I'm pronouncing this correctly, the Kol Nidre service online? Do you guys usually do that?
Yeah, we'll do that in the evening, the start of Yom Kippur. Yeah, so we'll do something there, and then we'll do all day the next day. So yeah, we'll be online. It's Yom Kippur is a long day, but it's good. It's worth it. It's wonderful.
Okay, because I know it falls on a Friday, the Kol Nidre, and so do you know what time you're starting it, or you don't know yet?
I want to say 7, just because it's probably about the right time. I'm not sure when the time change happens. So maybe probably we'll say 7 for now, and then if anything changes, we'll let you know.
Okay, because I
could be 6.
Could be 6, because my wife said it could be 6, but we'll let you know.
Okay, all right, just curious, because I know chances are I'm going to be at work, and I work in the evening, so I just wanted to see what time it would start, and see if I can possibly log on. Okay, thank you guys.
Yeah. So we'll be doing Rosh Hashanah, and I think we'll also do evening program online for that, and then morning program, and that lands on a Wednesday night. So and then 10 days later it will be Yom Kippur. So that's an exciting time.
So the holiday candles are around 6:30, 6:45, depending on Dallas time.
Okay. It's good to know.
Ralph, also thank you for the yesterday, everybody. We connect yesterday in the service. It's very beautiful. Yeah.
For what?
On the Shabbat, service. Yeah.
You join?
I like your family reading. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I like the Hassan. That's you, right?
Yeah.
Very nice, man. Yeah.
It's
very nice. Because sometimes in the videos, when you guys publish in the videos, I saw Rav Safa giving the portion, and then portion by portion, but to see the whole message and the whole service, it was a blessing.
Good,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem.
Yes.
Hopefully one day you all could come visit with us for spend some time down here.
Yeah, that's not the same.
But if anybody else has anything else, or should we end the class? My wife is driving right now, I think. So
Okay.
all right. Well, we will conclude. Thank you for joining, and we'll have another one next week. I'm not sure how many more chapters we have left, but anyway, but we'll keep having classes until the book is over. So I think it's a good time. It's good to talk about all of it, and kind of, for me, like sometimes some things I don't think about, so it's always good to go over certain parts of our beliefs together as a whole. So, all right. I guess so. I'm gonna pray. I'll pray, and I will we'll dismiss.
Can you keep the we're entering into the news coming out, but we're entering into a hot war. It looks like Israel is, a lot of the places, a lot of the embassies are pulling their people, and
Yeah, no, I saw that there was a bunch of rockets sent from Lebanon. Yeah. So yeah, it's becoming a full war. I mean, not like it wasn't a war, but it's like really getting really scary over there. So we'll be praying for all of our family there.